Witam bardzo Państwa serdecznie na kolejnym naszym spotkaniu, które organizujemy z cyklu spotkań z liderami europejskiego muzealnictwa z okazji 120 lat istnienia Muzeum Krakowa. To zamysł, który jest już Państwu znany, bo wielu z Państwa poznaje po twarzach, nie pierwszy raz przyszło na te nasze spotkania. Zamysł taki, ażeby 120 lat po powstaniu naszego muzeum skrzyżować myśli, skrzyżować opinie, zastanowić się, gdzie jesteśmy dzisiaj, 120 lat od powstania muzeum, a gdzie dzisiaj są inne muzea. Spotykamy się zarówno z muzealnikami z Niemiec, był Jan Gerschow z Frankfurtu, z Liverpoolu. Mieliśmy spotkanie z Muzeum w Gdyni, z Muzeum Warszawy. Przed nami, zanim przedstawię dzisiejszego bohatera, jeszcze Antwerpia, Rotterdam, Lizbona, Żory, Gdańsk. Kilka spotkań, różne doświadczenia. Natomiast ogromnie się cieszę, że mogę dzisiaj przywitać i przedstawić Państwu panią dyrektor Miejskiego Muzeum w Helsinkach, Tiine Merisalo. Witam serdecznie. Przyznam szczerze, że jestem ogromnie ciekawy tego spotkania, dlatego, bo w roku 2005, in 2005, razem z Tiną zostaliśmy wysłani, Tina z Helsinek, ja z Krakowa, do takiego państwa. Ono się nazywa Stany Zjednoczone i tam przez miesiąc uczestniczyliśmy w takim programie stażowym dla liderów muzealnictwa światowego. Od tego czasu ani razu się nie spotkaliśmy, chociaż śledziłem, co się dzieje w Helsinkach, a prawda jest taka, że o muzealnictwie fińskim my wiemy, jak sądzę, mało. A to jest powód do wstydu, a zarazem powód do ogromnej ciekawości. A więc, proszę Państwa, będzie możliwość zadawania pytań po wykładzie pani dyrektor. Natomiast w tej chwili wszyscy umieramy z ciekawości i zamieniamy się w słuch.
So thank you very much for inviting me. It's a really pleasure to be here and with such a warm welcome you have given to me. And first of all, I want to congratulate you on your anniversary, 120th anniversary. And the little what I have seen yesterday and today, I must say that I'm really astonished and amazed, and it's really beautiful. It's first time for me in Krakow, and it's really, really beautiful. And the museum, which I saw today, the Underground Museum, was excellent. It was really, really good and great to see, and I had such a good guide there also. So it was a great pleasure to see at least a little bit of your work, what you have been doing here, and it was very impressive. So thank you for this opportunity to be here and talk with you. The title of my speech is Shaking Up the Museum Concept, the Rethinking of Helsinki City Museum. And I'm trying to share with you the things that we have been doing the last few years in Helsinki. I will start a little bit about background, as we heard that you probably don't know so much about Finnish museums, so some facts and figures. We are not as old as you are, but we are close, near you. So we are in 2021. We are going to turn 110. So over 100 years of museum work, which already started in 1906. In the changing city, the city fathers founded the Board of Ancient Monuments to document the rapidly changing city. So the beginning, the origins of the museum were in the, you can say that documentation of the present day, over 100 years ago. So we have sort of continued that work for these 100 years. At the moment, we have 5 museums. I heard that you have 20 here. We have 5 museums. We had 11 when I started as a museum director 2003. And due to various reasons, we have been cutting down the branches. And now we have 5, and we're quite happy with that. We can manage this group or family of museums. We have 2 collection centers. The big one is together with Helsinki Art Museum, which is the other city municipal museum in Helsinki. Otherwise, there are like 60 museums in Helsinki. Many of them are very small, but there are also huge, big national museums and special museums in Helsinki, and a lot of art museums. We have in Finnish scale and maybe somewhat in European scale also quite a big collection. We have over 1 million photographs. We have 450,000 collection objects from small pieces to trams and buses. So it varies. Everyday life of Helsinki. We have 6,000 artworks depicting the story of the city. And then we have, of course, archaeological objects, like you have here as well. So archaeology is part of our job. And we do work in quite a small amount of money. Our budget is about 7.1 million euros, the expenses. And we get income much less than you get because we are a free admission museum. We get about 500,000, 600,000 euros annually in own revenue, own income. We are 62 people permanently, and then you can, of course, see that there are these seasonal workers, project workers, unemployed people who are working in the museum, and so on and so on. So we are roughly about 90 people working in the museum. Last year we had over 1 million customers in total, and of those about 445,000 exhibition visitors. So Helsinki is approximately the same size, I think, I guess 640,000 people living in Helsinki, and the capital region is then over a million. So approximately, I guess, the same size as Krakow. One big part of our work is also the cultural environment work. We are experts, we are antiquarians in that sense that we give expert opinions and work closely together with the city planners and building inspection and so on. So it's important part of our work. Over 600 opinions last year. We are also Central Uusimaa, which is the southernmost area in Finland, regional museum since the beginning of 1980s. So we have 5 museums here. You see a little bit, a small glimpse what they are. We have the flagship museum, which I'm going to talk about today, Villa Hakasalmi, Burgers House, Workers' Housing Museum, Tram Museum, and then we have the collection centers. A small glimpse to the collections, a varied sample of everyday life. And you can say the focus has been in the 19th centuries and 20th centuries. We have very little objects from 16th century. They are archaeological objects, and some from the 18th century. So the kind of collection that tells the story of a modern capital city. A little bit about our organization, how we work. We have two units in the museum. We have audience services and we have cultural heritage unit. And you see that we have a very small, there are numbers in the end of each box. So you see the amount of people working in these teams. We have exhibitions and program team, which consists only of 4 people. We have learning and well-being, 6 people working there, pedagogical staff, customer encounters, the people who meet the customers in museums, and sales. And then the cultural heritage side, we have object collections, picture collections, and cultural environment. And then we have the regional museum work, which goes through the whole museum, of course. Why we have so little people in exhibitions and programs, it's based on the idea that we do projects. We have also a project organization. So for each project, exhibition or publication or whatever research, we make a project team, a special project team where people from different teams work. So that sort of ensures that we get people who are mostly interested and experts in this special theme which we are dealing with. I'm not going to the city organization. You can see it a little bit where we are part of the culture and leisure division of the city. This is a new organization since 2017. So, the new City Museum, it's a bit funny to talk about the new because it's already been open for 3 years. So it starts to be old already. But the project was something new. It already started in 2008. And it was a normal sort of removal project from one place to another. You can probably, let's see if I can get... there's a circle. We used to be there located. This is the South Harbour area of the city, and the city main square, the Senate Square, with the cathedral, the Senate House, the university, and city offices on the other side. So it's the sort of the main official area of the city. And we were located in a very good place earlier, but then we were proposed that we should move to this place where we already had this Cederholm House Museum, a burgher's house which is from 1757. So the oldest house of the city. It's really funny to talk to you about that our oldest house is from the 18th century, but that's how it is. We're a young city. So they proposed that we should move there, and what started as a sort of normal removal project turned out to be a transformation project. This was part of the bigger development project of the City Hall quarters, which were usually before in office use, and the city wanted to open up them for restaurants, for places worth of visiting, shops, and so on, in the sort of core of the most touristic area of the city. For us, this was an opportunity because we are a centenarian institution, and now we had a chance to open a new museum after many years. And as it started 2008, you know what happened in the world economy, and also the economy of Helsinki was affected, and the whole project was frozen for a couple of years. And then we realized that now we have really an opportunity to rethink the whole museum. Start from scratches and start to rethink, what are we actually doing? This is the building project. 5 old buildings, 3 courtyards, and 1 modern annex. Oops, sorry. And you see the modern building there in the picture is the new part. The other buildings are old from various eras. The whole renovation cost was about 11 million euros, and making of the museum only 2 million. So we did it. It was an affordable investment from the city. A lot of partners in our work. We didn't, of course, do it ourselves. I won't go through them more, but you can get the presentation, so you can read them later. So we were in a positive identity crisis, and we knew that we need a strong concept for the museum. We were asking a lot of questions. Why do we exist? What are we doing actually? To whom we are working for? And how should we work? In order to create new services, we put all these pieces together, talked a lot about the issues, talked about a lot about vision and strategy and customer needs and partnerships and so on. We realized that we are the only museum in the world concentrating on Helsinki. That's a strength, absolutely. We had an opportunity to create a flagship museum, and we really wanted to take out more of the free admission, which we had had already from 2008, and further lower the threshold of museum. And we had the opportunity to design a new museum in terms of free admission. We had a very big ambition to reach new audiences. We were doing quite well. We were not, we were in good condition in many ways, but still there were a lot of people who didn't know where we exactly were. So that was something that we needed to develop. And then finding out what are the services that would meet the needs of our customers, and find also new ways and means to deliver and share our contents. This picture actually shows this kind of museum projects is full of sub-projects that you really are working with several topics at the same time. We had, of course, the spaces in the museum, trying to make profiles and contents for them. Then we had issues like how do we develop our customer-centered service culture? How do we develop our accessible expert services? How do we develop our own revenue? New concept for museum shop was needed. Then we had this huge treasure of photographs in our collections, these 1 million photographs. And we did a very sort of, I can say, the bold decision that we shall open them online, free for everybody, free for everybody to use. So we have now, at the moment, only 60,000, but it's growing every year. 60,000 photos for free use, Creative Commons 4.0. So they can be used even commercially. Only the photographer and the source has to be mentioned. So this was a sort of a big choice, and therefore we needed to create services that would help the audiences to use these. And we opened also at the same time when we opened the museum. The next year we opened helsinkifotos.fi service, which is enormously popular, loved. There were like 900,000 visits, and people stay online about 8 minutes, the average time they spent there. So it's really has been a very good choice that what we did. The concept outline for the new city museum looked like this. So the parts of it to answer these questions: why, to whom, what's the tone of everything, and what are we actually doing, and how are we doing, are answered in this concept. So we created a vision, we worked with the customer understanding and created customer profiles, We created the overall profile for the museum. We discussed the roles of the museum, what are we in the 21st century, and we took the participation as embedded in our work. So doing it together. The vision was formulated like this. We wanted to create a vision that was not sort of, bureaucratic or emphasizing that we want to be the best in the world, but we wanted to create a vision that's what actually we are working for. We are working for that everyone has the opportunity to fall in love with Helsinki. We are working that people would be proud of their city, that would cherish the city, and work for it. So that's why we have this kind of vision, and 3 focus points were that we think about our audiences or customers, as we say it. Let's do it together, and we strengthen the diversity of Helsinki. We think about the customers or the audiences. We were asking that is it possible to enhance authentic participation by adopting and using new design methods. So we turned into the service design toolkits to work with this issue. Helsinki has been the World Design Capital, was 2012, I think, and many things were left behind from that year, so that we are thinking design, not only designing objects, but also designing services. And this is very highly focused also in the city strategy. We needed to be exposed to the audiences. We really wanted to understand our customer needs so that we could develop our services better. We did cooperation with different kinds of service design companies, but the main thing was, however, that we did all the interviews, all the workshops by ourselves. So do-it-yourself interviews. The companies only helped us, pushed us to the road, and we did it ourselves. So it was the big part of our transformation was that we were learning and rooting these kind of methods of participation. We were encouraging for experimentations. We invited focus groups to talk about their life in general, in what are they doing on their leisure time, in order to understand that what would make them to come to the museum. So we got a lot of information in this research phase, which we did, these interviews, and also observing our customers, how do they behave in our exhibitions, how do the tourists behave in the Senate Square when they come with the bus there, would there be a chance to get them come to the museum. So this kind of research we did. So we used like 3 years. The thorough process started 2013, and we opened the museum 2016. So 3 years. So mainly you can say that 2 years of it was this kind of work, what we did, to understand the people, the behavior of people. We also founded a customer panel, which we still use every year. Many times we ask them a lot of questions and get volunteers they are in a way, so we get answers from them. Then one part of the service design method is that you do prototypes, you do testing, you experiment, and then you test and you change. So this kind of processes we were also learning. The first part was the customer understanding, and after making the vision, but the customer understanding, and you have to understand that these 4 customer profiles which we made at that time are tools for developing the services. They are not meant to be, to categorize our visitors in the sense that you are Helsinki lover and you are urban explorer or urban open-minded adult, but they helped us to think, to focus the services. So one of the profiles was Helsinki lover, persons who are interested in the city. They already know quite a lot about the history of the city, who are very proud and would like to bring the guests with them to the museum, show them around, and have a special interest in the city. So our sort of permanent exhibition, Helsinki Bites, is designed in keeping in mind this focus group, this customer group. The second one is Playing Child with Companion. And Children's Town is in the Söderholm. The oldest house is dedicated to the youngest of the city. We already had that a year and a half before the refurbishment of the building. We already had the Children's Town, so we had a lot of experience from that period, how people use it. So we did some changes at this phase. So it's a hands-on museum where you learn by playing, and it is absolutely one of the all the time one of the best places for children or child families or kindergarten groups to go in Helsinki. So it's very, very popular. And children don't come alone. They always are with someone adult, either parents, godparents, kindergarten teachers, school teachers, or so on. So the services in the children's towns has to be designed so that also the adults with the kids, the companions, are happy. Then the third one, this was the new target group, new audience group, urban, active, open-minded adult. And fourth floor exhibition, temporary exhibition space is for, the contents of it are, we keep this group in mind when we make decisions about what next. And these people are usually interested about what's happening in the city, and they are talking about them, sharing their experiences about the city. They go to the different kinds of events. And again, you have to understand that these are not age groups or socio-economical groups, but these are interest groups. That these people you can be urban, active, open-minded adult. You can be 25 or you can be 81. It's not based on the age, but you can be interested in this phenomenon, what we are talking about here in the fourth floor. And then the fourth actually came from the location, when we realized that we are in the most touristic area, that how can we serve the people who come anyway to the area. They have usually very limited time in their hands. How can they, come to the museum? So animated timeline is one of the services we thought that might help them to at least see the sort of the main points of the city history in a couple of minutes. And participation, as I already said, is one of the, let's do it together, is one of the things we wanted to develop. Participation and citizen dialogue is very, very high in the city strategies. And the city has been adopting diverse methods and levels of participation. And we did that also. It can be, there are many steps in the participatory processes that you can ask simple questionnaires, or then you can even co-create or do participatory budgeting, like this year we are doing in Helsinki. So part of the city budget is given to the people to propose projects that should be done, and voted by the people, the residents of the city. The participation is also a means to involve and engage Helsinkians, and I believe that it enhances the feeling of belonging and commitment for the city, and it thus adds to the well-being of the residents. So participation is one part of that you are having the feeling that you are part of this community, this city. And for us as museum professionals, it has been and is a continuous learning process and sort of persistent, systematic approach, which has to be embedded in the annual planning and projects. And we want to cherish the sort of the invitation to participate, to share memories, to share stories and experiences. And this has been the guideline, one of the guidelines here in the museum. Well, we did all kinds of experimentative projects. I won't time rights. Then the tone of everything, one part of the concept. Our goal was to create an overall experience and become a distinctive, easily approachable, emotive museum, which also had a strong sense of place in the historic heart of the city. And we wanted to create a place where Helsinkians could find something to connect with, something familiar, something memorable, or something that they are interested in, they are talking about, are sharing about. So this has been the idea here of the overall experience. And these three things, easily accessible and approachable, was one of the things, evoking emotions and distinctive. There are a few pictures. Our first floor of the ground floor lobby was designed so that people feel it like it's home. You know, many institutions around the globe say that they want to be cultural, they want to create cultural institutions as living rooms of the people. But then it has to look like also a living room. It doesn't. It has to be inviting and cozy and friendly, and that was what we really did. So very playful and colorful atmosphere, ambience, and people really use it and they love it. They are coming to work there with their laptops. Every day you see people having small meetings there. So it's inviting. And in the beginning, when people came into the museum and said, this doesn't look like a museum at all, when they looked to the lobby. And evoking emotions, that's especially important because, you know, understanding and thinking needs also emotions, that you have to get something to move in you before you start to think and act. So this has been one of the guidelines we have been working with, and also being a bit surpriseful that you come to the museum and you find something that you didn't expect at all. So distinctive is one of the things that definitely, according to our research, has been a goal that has been reached. This idea of shaking up the traditional assumptions of museums and museum experience meant also that we wanted to break the traditional space hierarchies, so that in the lobby there are not only the places for coats and your umbrellas and toilets, but there are also contents in all these spaces, like toilets. And in the lobby, you have, on the background in this picture, you can see a timeline sofa where there are style periods, starting from Art Nouveau, ending up in 1990s style. So this kind of a playful way to sort of get the kind of cheat people to look into history in a way. That has been our tool for developing the museum. So total experience, which we wanted to create it so that it starts from the courtyards until the exhibitions. So we used quite a lot of investment in these spaces, the public spaces, open spaces. And also encouraging people to use the museum in diverse ways. So there's free space for meeting, for work, and at the same time an invitation to learn and enjoy the contents and collections. You can say, as I told you about our collections, that we have a strong emphasis on everyday history and 19th and 20th centuries. So this kind of own soul and special brand was based on this everyday history, and it has been one part of the planning and designing and communications, sort of setting the tone. So we have immersive spaces. We are using so-called positive nostalgia, trying to enhance emotional experiences and personal and shared memories, being surprising, playful, and welcoming. And also audience services, the meeting of the people in the front desk. This is one of the guidelines that has sort of been there when we are educating new staff to do their work. The experimentations are around, especially in the 4th floor, as I've mentioned, the urban, active, open-minded adult is in our mind, and it has been a test lab for us. Also methods of participation and delivering diverse and thought and emotion-provoking contents. So there's a list of things what we have been doing. We started when we opened, we had the Museum of Broken Relationships from Croatia, you probably know it. There was a photo from that exhibition actually there in the center, this one, which was for me at least a wonderful experience as a museum director. During my 30 years museum career, I had never experienced that it was full house all the time. People were concentrated and reading a lot of text, reading the stories, whispering to each other. It was very, very strange and wonderful ambience in this museum space. And it was like that every day during this. So we actually, because this was the new target group, we started a social media campaign already in the beginning of the year, 2016. The opening was in May. And one part of that was the participation. Bring us the object of separation, share us the story of separation. So some part of Helsinki's stories became part of the Museum of Broken Relationships. And that was like in 2 days, there was 30,000 people in social media who wanted to participate. So it was right to the target group, and we were very happy. And of course, without the help of the communications and marketing thinking here, we wouldn't have been so successful in launching of the museum, because this was the sort of the spearhead of the launching. And after that, we have had several other experiments. Smell the picture here. A space where there's only one smell per week, some lights and very sort of mindfulness kind of situation for everybody. But this was also based on that we asked Helsinkians their smell memories. We got about 200 of them and stories with the smell memories. And we chose like 7 or 9 smells, and only one smell per week. And we didn't tell people that this is the smell. We worked with the perfumeur who made a sort of combo. So we had smells like the amusement park, which was one of the smell memories for people. You know, the candy floss and the roller coaster tar smell, wooden structures and things like that. It was a combo of these smells, and it was not so easy. So half of the people who visited the exhibition didn't like it at all. The other half loved it. They understood perfectly how nice it was. And there was some controversy of why did we make this kind of, there's construction site, and then there was, one of the smells was not a combo, it was an unsi, which is a a scent that the Somali people use, and it's sort of you can sometimes smell it in the eastern parts of the city. People use it usually at home, but that was one of the smells, and that was sort of provocative for some people who didn't understand at all. But that was what we got from the audiences. These are right or wrong. There's no right or wrong in this. They are people's memories and people's experiences. Then we had Helsinki, which was about sexual rights, about human rights. And again, we were talking about today's Helsinki. Not so much, a little bit of history, but how is it to live in Helsinki at the moment? In the beginning, when we decided to make this project, we realized that we don't have the expertise in the museum. So we contacted quite many organizations who work in this field and work together. And they, for example, made us workshops which were targeted to the upper school kids. So we had like 30 workshops during this exhibition. And we had also so-called experience experts sharing their stories and being guides in the museum. So this kind of participatory work we also do, that we work with the communities and sort of, we are not doing that ourselves, but we give the space like a platform for people to do what they can best do. Helsinki clubbing, another example, 30 years of clubbing history in Helsinki, also a proposal from outside from the museum. Group of 3 guys came to me and said that, hey, we would like to make an exhibition about clubbing history. And we, together with the exhibitions and program team head, were sort of scratching our heads, and why do you want to make an exhibition, and why not an event, for example, a club evening or something? I said, no, we have a lot of material, we want to make an exhibition. I said, okay. And in the end, these 3 guys multiplied so that we had 250 people working with this exhibition. The whole clubbing community of 30 years in Helsinki were putting their efforts together and working to make the exhibition. And it was amazing, amazing as well. So we were just, giving the platform and support to make the exhibition there, but they did it. There were a lot of professionals, graphic designers, editors, people who knew what they were doing. So it was a brilliant exhibition. Then we had our own production, completely our own production, fear. Again, participation. We asked people about their fears. What are they afraid of at the moment in life, in Helsinki, in Finland, in the world? Enormous amounts of answers. And we created we also asked about hate speech, what kind of hate speech they have confronted. And then also, and then created a very sort of a rough escape room kind of space in the 4th floor. And again, all of these are sharing opinions. These are not easy things to do. If you do things like that, then you get a lot of feedback also that this is no good, that you should do something else. This is not museum. This is not history museum. So this kind of discussion we are sort of provoking, but that's good. That is part of the shaking of the idea what museum can be. And now we have again a little bit different kind of exhibition objection about the 5 contemporary artists, photographers, who are talking about being of different opinion in the city. Is it allowed, and what kind of attitudes there are? So it just began. Digital technology. I admired your technology in the underground museum. It was amazing. We have not that much, but we do have digital technology, and we have this kind of we have tried to create it so they are not part of our audience are a bit afraid of technology. Still, the older audiences. So we try to make interfaces that are easy to use. So, for example, here we have a panorama, 3 different layers of panoramas, and this is kind of the switchboard. You switch the time periods there, and then you rotate. This is from a coffee grinder, this thing. So you rotate and you make it move, but it's digital technology inside. So this is the way how we have tried to solve the problem that some people are sort of afraid of. Shall I break the machine if I touch it, kind of? This won't break. Oh, actually it does, because the kids do like this, so it can be dangerous sometimes. How much time do I have? You don't know. Well, I try to continue. Just say me if I'm talking too long. Okay. The roles of the museum was one of the things that we were talking in our concept work. That we were talking quite a lot about this understanding that performing the so-called traditional museum functions is not a goal itself, but a tool to generate impacts. This is something that we were discussing quite a lot, and we were asking: is it possible for a museum to adopt new roles, functions, and operational models without losing its mission and identity? In the staff, there were people who were saying we shouldn't sort of give up this, and we should keep on doing that, and this nice picture of a snowman who's trying on the hats and still takes the same old hat on. And the text is: lack of courage prevented the snowman to use his other hats. That you don't lose your identity as a snowman if you take a cap on. Now, from some times that you can be entertaining, you can be fun, but you still are the same expert in there. So this was a big discussion in the museum stuff. So these roles which we defined that we want to create, of course, this museum as the enhancer of Helsinki knowledge and understanding. This is our stronghold, that this is, all the museums do it quite well. We are sharing the histories. We have the collections, we collect, we take care of the collections, we make exhibition, we make publications, we do our pedagogical work. This is rather well always. So this continues as usual, that we are doing it, and we find also new ways to enhance it. For us, for example, the events are quite a big thing in sharing the understanding of the city history. Like now we have 1920s Carefree City exhibition in Villa Hakasalmi. And there, for example, we have had about the fashion, we have fashion show there, we have musical performances, we have had an event with prohibition, which started 100 years ago, and so on and so on. So events can be also pedagogical. Museum as Helsinki experience. We wanted to create and think the museum as a place where you can empathize with the stories and lives of Helsinkians. But we also see that museum can be in the spirit of the city. It can sort of mirror the spirit of the city, and that has been for us a big important role as well. And then there, of course, the museum experience itself, that there are places that you can take Instagram photos and things like that. Many museums are thinking of these things nowadays. Museum as a social hub or meeting point, that is also already quite traditional for every museum in the world. But for us, it sort of needed to be defined in discussion that this is something that we do, that our programs, our events are attractive, and people come to meet each other and they can share their stories together in these events or exhibitions. And then the fourth one, museum as a platform an enabler. There is actually a photo from the opening of the clubbing exhibition. So giving the spaces, the exhibition spaces for different communities, different groups to work with us is one of the things that we don't have to do everything ourselves, that we can also let people work as long as they're working in accordance of our values. That's of course the important thing. And then the one of the expressions of this platform thing is the Helsinki Photos.fi service that we give, and we get so much more back. When people are using the photos, they really use and they really know them. People can use them for their own needs, and also the museum spaces, lobby and so on. So I won't go through this, but we have been quite successful these last 3 years. A lot of awards, and it's not always. You cannot just sit on your laurels that you have been successful, but you have to. That this sort of challenges us to do it better next year. So Finnish Museum of the Year 2017 and Museums and Heritage International Award same year, 1 week after that. Different kinds of, and last year EMEA, the European Museum of the Year special commendation, which is, of course, we are very proud of all these. The main thing, of course, has been that people have really found us, that there are a lot of visitors. We had, in 2016, we were open, when we opened in May, so we were 8 months, and we got over 315,000 visitors, and became the third most popular museum in Finland. And as you can see, the visitor amount was over 200% higher than the previous years. And 2017, again, we were the second most popular museum, and last year the most popular. So it has been, and it seems to be that it's now quite steady, because now I just checked that we have, in May, we had about 2,000 more visitors than the same time previous year. So it's roughly the same amount this year, hopefully. Maybe a little bit more. Let's see. Group visits have grown. We have a lot of new products for groups, even city walks and so on. The customer satisfaction could be better. This is a challenging place also, so could be even better. The key take-ins and challenges. One of the things was that the visitor amounts, they lift costs, and our own revenue doesn't cover it. So cleaning, staffing, toilet paper, this is toilet paper money, as we say, security, etc. So we were in need of permanent raise in running costs. And last November, we got 1 million visitors so all the spaces, the exhibitions, the furniture are very shabby already. So they are in use. And for example, we had to renew the furniture in the lobby, all the carpets and the chairs and so on. And in the working methods, the one big learning has been that these methods have to be embedded in annual planning to be alive. So these two ones, the customer profile and customer paths, are still in use. We are using them and developing them, and the whole staff is sort of very committed to use them. And also the participation is our new normal, that it's part of all projects, and not necessarily so that we say that participation has to be part of all projects, but it has to be discussed at least in each project. What kind of participation? Does this need participation, and what kind of? So in that sense, it's in discussion in everyday work and planning. For us, the investment in marketing and communication has been essential for our success. But now the new city organization has brought more problems than improvement, that we have diminished resources for marketing and communication. They were concentrated in the administration. We don't have our own people anymore. So for us, it's a really big minus in this organizational change, and we are working desperately to find a solution for that. And then we can say that the emphasis in our work and energy has been in attracting new customers. And then the so-called regular, the Helsinki lovers, for example, they might need a little bit more attention. We have to think about them a little bit more in the coming years. And then also that the idea that or the understanding that the creative resources are limited. We don't have enough heads and hands or money to keep up very dense changes in contents in all of our 5 museums. 62 people, of that maybe 30 people who are working in the curatorial stuff. And there's a lot to do. So we have now 4th floor 2 annual exhibition contents. We in the early stage we were planning that we would have 4, but we cannot do that. So it's only 2, but it's okay. We can live with that. Villa Hakasalmi has only 1 exhibition per year. So other museums are interior museums, so they're kind of permanent exhibitions there. Then we organized these events, and last year around 140 events in all these 5 museums. Museum shop, we renewed that, opened it 3 years ago, and now we are renewing it again because it's not working. It's a nice, really good experience as part of the museum visit, but people don't go. It's in the wrong place. It's on the side. People don't go there. It's very difficult, the visitors, to go there. They don't find it. It's not in a sort of natural route. And we don't get enough revenue from that. So that's something that we are working at the moment to solve. And then something that I guess all the museums are dealing with is that there's the growing demand and also actions to work more outside the museum walls, outside the museum, in the city, with new groups, new communities. So we have been for many years working with projects like memory suitcases. We take them, and our volunteers take them to old people's homes, and they are used there. Thousands of people use them every year. Then we have a lot of new city walks. We have Adopt a Monument project, where people in different areas of the city can adopt First World War fortification sites and take care of them. Then we have all kinds of projects going on in different city districts, and volunteering has grown quite remarkably in these last 3 years. Now we have about 260 people as volunteers. As I said, the museum cannot rest on its laurels forever, that you need to work your relevance every day with customers, with decision makers and the community you serve. And for us, it has been very important that we take a regular self-evaluation or self-assessment so that we can see what are the things we should improve, that this kind of improving circle is going on. And that's what, at this point, after the successful years, is needed for us, and I think that works for all museums. To finish, the thought that something new and different cannot be created with old recipes. That for us, the removal to new premises became a true transformation when we understood that we cannot create something new by acting in the same way as before. And as I have been telling you, that the useful learnings are connected primarily with completely new operational models and planning the change in the longer run. All the museums are different. The contents of the museums, the topics of the museums vary, but this kind of this is how it always has been done. Thinking needs to go that opening up the planning processes to users and partners and encouraging experimentation and bold choices, and also widening the thinking from exhibitions to overall experiences are sort of tools and methods that all museums can use. And I'm very happy, at least in Finland, all the professional museums in Finland have visited us, and there's a lot of good things happening in Finland at the moment. So we're sort of very happy that we can be part of this change of museums in Finland and show some. And also we have wanted to share this, what we have been doing, very openly with everybody and discuss with them. And all the museums have to do the work by themselves. We cannot give them a recipe and do like this, but sort of helping that this is the way how we did it. So thank you.
Droga Tino, a studenci muszą wyjść i biegną. Przywitałem kanał 1, jak na angielski. Doesn't work? Jest? Kanał numer 1, tak? Działa? Droga Tino, przedstawiłem Cię jako panią dyrektor Muzeum w Helsinkach, a powinienem Cię przedstawić jako królową fińskiego muzealnictwa. Dziękujemy Ci bardzo za odwagę, wrażliwość i głębokość tej wizji, która jest tak od początku do końca przemyślana. Wiem, że na sali jest bardzo wiele osób, które mają duże powody do tego, żeby być zadowolonymi, że tutaj przyszli ze względu na wiele treści, o których mówiłaś. Ale ja zostawię głos moim koleżankom, kolegom, ażeby odnieśli się do tych treści, które były poruszone, żeby skorzystali z tej okazji, żeby zadać pytania. Tak, tak. Spodziewałem się, Pani Melanio. Nie ukrywam, że się spodziewałem, a nawet na to liczyłem.
I would like to ask you about who had more doubts about your new projects, audience or staff, about these new experimental projects?
In the beginning, of course, you have to win the whole staff to work with you, and it was a challenge in that way that we all were in the middle of another change, because we had our collection center moval. So all the collection people were working with the removal and building up a completely new, huge collection center together with the art museum. So they were not so much involved. So they come a little bit behind. So they are sort of learning all these methods a bit later than others. Then always in the staff, there are people who have doubts. Does it work? And what happens? But I think being open with the questions and talking and discussing with them, they are sort of learning to understand what we have been trying to do, even the last opposition. And the audience, it is. I think that's the challenge, because it's surprising that we have new audiences which are very open-minded, and they are eager to see what's next, and they are waiting and asking what's happening next. But then there are maybe these so-called regulars, the people who would like to learn about the great men of the city, and we are not sort of offering enough for them, and they are sort of reacting when they see exhibitions like Helsinki, for example, that this is not my museum. So, but it is balancing, of course, and then there's that we are lucky that we have these 4 other museums, that we can say that here we have this Burger's home from the mid-19th century. You can study that, and you can go there, and we have events there. We have the Workers' Housing Museum, where there are interiors and tell about the 20th century workers' life. So we have this more, traditional way to tell about the history. And that's always a sort of a good way to turn their a little bit sort of dissatisfied heads towards a better mood. So I think that's, but that's a constant communication. You need that.
First, I want to really thank you. That was an awesome presentation, and what you've done with your museum is incredible. I have to go, but I want to challenge the Krakowian Museum to make their museum more playful and free, like this one. And then many people will come. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. The question of being free admission is a constant discussion, and it's depending on also what forces are in power, the politics. For us, 2008, when we got the free admission, it was in the city council, all the city council were for it, that we should have free admission. That the thinking at that time was that it's like libraries, that you have a democratic right and access to your own heritage, your own cultural heritage, and that's kind of the idea here. In Finland, it's understood, but then on the other hand, if you have the parties that are more for the economy, they are demanding that we should take money for also take the tickets. So now we have a compromise here. We have Villa Hakasalmi, which has this now this 1920s carefree city exhibition. It has been a ticket sale, and it's a good ticket sale. So we have changed one of our museums. The
playful aspect is huge too.
The playful aspect, yeah. I think that's important, that people feel it sort of lowers the threshold that you can be yourself. You don't have to be so, formal, and you can also laugh in the museum. I think that's one of the good things.
Władzom Krakowa proszę nie powtarzać o tych rozwiązaniach związanych z wolnym wstępem. Kto z Państwa chciałby jeszcze zapytać? Oczywiście, oczywiście. Po polsku, bo nie wszyscy rozumieją, żeby było tłumaczone.
Chciałam zapytać o tę wystawę związaną z przerwanymi relacjami, z rozwodami. Jaką metodę Państwo przyjęliście w wyborze obiektów czy opowieści od tych, z którymi Państwo pracowaliście, czyli od publiczności? Czy była jakaś metoda, w jaki sposób ta selekcja się odbywała? Czy były jakieś zasady określone z góry?
This basis of the exhibition came from Croatia, and these two people who are curating the museum, and they take the rotating exhibitions around the world, and I think they have a branch nowadays in Los Angeles or something. So they were part of the choosing process. So they sort of they lifted phenomenon that was something very typical for Helsinki and for Finns. There were objects like knitted wool socks and blouse, woolen cardigans and things like that. That they said this was something special. That these were very strongly in the material that came in. So they had this kind of because they knew what they had from other cities previously. So that was a big part of was their choice. Yeah. I have to tell you, because it was amazing, what happened, this is a good story. 2 weeks after we had opened the museum, there was enormous heavy rain in Helsinki. And it was so heavy that it flooded in our courtyard, and the water came in to the museum in the 2 weeks just opened museum. And the first floor lobby was flooding. It was terrible, but it was fortunate it was a normal weekday and there were a lot of people, so we could evacuate everybody and get the fire brigade to the museum. And the head of the fire brigade team who came after they had, did what they had to do, came to me. I was standing in the lobby, and he came, "Can I go to the exhibition, the 4th floor exhibition?" I said, why? You cannot go because the museum is evacuated. But you, of course, you can go. I said, I'm just asking because I have an object there. I said, what's the object? It was, the bicycle, the sport, which you use home, bike, the gym bike, how do you call it? And there was a story that her wife, it was her wife's bike, and she had been deceitful and left him for another man, and this was the object of separation, and he wanted to go see it. So it was one of the great things. Yeah. Okay. That was, by the way, one of the marketing things that...
Okej, Panie Jacku. Proszę? Do mikrofonu, tak, oczywiście, bo nie będzie słyszał. Tłumacz, nie,
dobrze. Ja chciałem zapytać, bo obserwowałem cały czas dane, które przewijały się tutaj na ekranie i Państwo mają 445 000 zabytków w muzeum i 62 osoby czy pracowników regularnych. Chciałem zapytać po pierwsze o przechowywanie, o magazyny i o opracowywanie tych zbiorów. Jak wygląda to przy tak niskim budżecie, bo tam zdaje się chyba 7 100 000 euro. Dużo odwiedzających, więc oczywiście akcent jest położony też na wydarzenia i jest bardzo dużo pracy z tego, co widziałem. Jak wygląda sprawa właśnie zabytków, konserwacji i tak dalej?
It's clear?
Yes, I will actually put it to here. You see the cultural heritage unit, and there's object collection. There are 15 people working there, and picture collection, 12 people. So 15 people, and they are mostly working in the collection center, which is outskirts of the city, or the neighboring city, actually in Vantaa. And it's together with the art museum, Helsinki Art Museum, HAM. And I don't know, they are miracle makers. They have a good team leader who's very organized. And they are all very organized, and they have been doing such a great work. When we opened this, actually, the new collection center 2016 in the autumn. So it was at the same time when we had opened making of it. It's in very good condition, and it's a very exemplary collection center. We have a conservation department there, we have photo studios there, Um, uh, and as I said that in, for example, exhibition project, we form the teams. So we take always somebody from the collection, object collections and picture collections as part of the project team. So they are responsible in proposing and choosing the objects for the exhibitions, for example. Yeah, we have one textile conservator, we have one for objects, one for hard materials. There are 5 of them. One, yeah, well, anyway, so different materials, so only one. And then we, of course, use some money for buying some services, from conservation services outside the museum. The budget, 7.1 million, is over maybe 2.3 million is in a rents. So the premises take quite big part of that. Half of the budget goes to the salaries of the staff, and the big part is the rents, and then the free money to use for exhibitions. Like, for example, the 4th floor exhibition, our budget for one exhibition is 65,000 euros, 70,000 euros. And then the bigger exhibitions, like in Lahakasalmi, there are maybe up to 250,000.
Dzień dobry. Ja mam pytanie a propos sposobów promocji oraz tego, jak Państwu udało się wyjść do takiej ilości osób, do tylu grup. Jak udało Państwu się zebrać po prostu te grupy wokół muzeum przy ponownym otwarciu?
Well, there were the various methods to do that. Now I hear you in Polish in my ears. Difficult to speak. Thank you. We used quite a lot of social media and internet, of course, and then launching, for example, this kind of customer panel, for example. It was an open invitation. Welcome, join our customer panel and help us develop. We went even to the streets, events, we contacted people there and interviewed them, are you willing to come to a focus group, and so on. So there were various kind of, and then the promoting for the decision makers was the hard part. And also the keepers of the money in the city, that was the hard part. And for many years we tried to get money, and only the last 2 years they realized that they're saying that we are repairing the buildings for you, and said, come on, you get the walls with this money, but you cannot get the museum and the things what we need there. So that was a really, what not so nice job to do, but finally they said, okay, we give you a little bit. Yeah.
Panie Danielu?
Ja chciałem zapytać o kwestię digitalizacji. Pani dyrektor na początku wspomniała, że było dużo fotografii udostępnionych, puszczonych dla publiczności.
Yes.
Chciałem zapytać, w jakim procencie to wpłynęło na liczbę osób zwiedzających muzeum? Czy zwiększyło się zainteresowanie poprzez właśnie tą akcję, można powiedzieć, tą wirtualną, prawda?
Yeah, we have I've been working, of course the Helsinki Photos.fi service is one of the big things that it sort of was launched really well, and people were spreading the good word about it. Now there is this kind of service that use that and sharing also in social media nowadays. But then we have been using also the digital technologies in, for example, we have the time machine. I didn't tell much about it, but we have time machine, which we renewed this spring, opened Time Machine 2.0 this spring. And it's a space where we have been using the digital technology. We have a virtual reality, 2 pairs of glasses there, and sort of trying to encourage people also to use the photo collection via the time machine that we have. We have colored the old photos and animated the old photos to show them that you can use them for different kinds of purposes. So this is the way we have been doing, and it has, I guess, a certain own group of people who are interested in this. And at the moment, this Helsinki Photos.fi service is shared in social media really every day. I get like 60, announcements that they have been using these, there are even I think at least 2 or 3 bots that are sharing our photos all the time. So it's sort of a, and we also have been. The digitalization we have been proactive in a way that we have been organizing hackathon last year with the developers communities, participating one hackathon before that, and now we are also participating a new kind of development project with the digital development. So we are sort of giving our materials for the developers to use. So we want to be part of that change as well.
Proszę Państwa, jeżeli ktoś jeszcze się zdecyduje, to się zdecyduje. Ja chciałbym... Już się ktoś zdecydował. Okej.
Dziękuję bardzo. Ja chciałam w pierwszej kolejności podziękować za bardzo inspirujące wystąpienie, ale z całości zainteresowało mnie szczególnie to, jak powiedziała Pani o tym, że rekonceptualizując ideę muzeum, użyliście Państwo metody design thinking. Jednym z etapów tej metody jest prototypowanie i jestem bardzo zainteresowana tym, co było prototypem i jak testowaliście to. Dziękuję.
Yes, the one of the prototypes was the time machine, which we did together with a company called Futurize, and I think it's a global company. And with them, we had workshops, open workshops, first, creative brainstorming and creating what it could be, and then making the prototypes together in these workshops and seeing how it would work. So it developed in these workshops, how it finally then came. And now, when we did the Time Machine 2.0, we again learned from the first phase, so that because we get some feedback that, the virtual reality glasses are sometimes a very sort of a lonely trip that you do, it's difficult to share that you have to wait in line to see. So now we have created the space so that you can share it a little bit more. So this kind of, that you have to do the first thing. And with technology, it's always like that because it goes so rapidly forward, so that you have to be aware that within 2 years you have to do something new, that it doesn't stay. Yeah.
Next question.
Chciałam zapytać, czy muzeum prowadzi archiwum społeczne? Jeśli tak, to w jaki sposób? Czy jest jakaś do tego specjalna platforma? A jeśli nie, czy myśli o czymś takim jak archiwum społeczne? Mam tutaj na myśli wspomnienia, pamiątki, które przynoszą do Państwa zwiedzający czy zaprzyjaźnieni z muzeum i w taki sposób jakiś nieweryfikowalny, w jaki sposób je gromadzicie, jeśli to robicie?
Not actively, we don't have this kind of, we do in different projects, of course, when we ask people, we document what we are doing. For example, the smell exhibition, there we collected all the memories, and they are archived, and they are actually have been used in research, in university research. So this is, we have archive collection where we do interviews. We collect interviews and do them. But then there are other institutions in the city that do that, so that's not our main sort of role to do that. But mainly it is that the experience of the visitor is that you can share your stories. Not necessarily it is written down or taped. So it's for sharing that people can with the people, or maybe even strangers. We have noticed that sometimes we would perhaps need to document that, because there have been photo exhibitions where complete strangers start to talk about and share their memories about places which have been disappeared. But nowadays we have tried to focus this kind of collecting in connection with the photo collections, so that people would share. We are going to have a new collection database system this year, so that it would involve this kind of dynamic encounters with the audiences. The people could be able to share their stories when they take a photo out there and share their memories about that. So we are working towards that more sharing would be able to be done.
Proszę Państwa, pewnie Państwo już zauważyliście, bo to nie pierwsze nasze spotkanie, że muzealnika od akademika tym się rozpoznaje, że akademik zazwyczaj mówi na siedząco, a muzealnik potrafi mówić tylko wtedy, jak chodzi. Bo kiedy siądzie, to mu to nie wychodzi. To jest doświadczenie, jesteśmy w ruchu. Droga Tino, chcę powiedzieć Ci, że po pierwsze za rok w tej sali w czerwcu odbędzie się, o czym już wspominałem, konferencja muzeów miejskich KAMOK-u i mamy nadzieję, że wraz z kolegami z Twojego muzeum przyjmiesz nasze zaproszenie. Po drugie, chcę Cię ostrzec, że jako społeczność Muzeum Krakowa bardzo uważnie patrzymy na to, gdzie w muzeum jest duża energia, a potem tam jedziemy. W tym roku byliśmy właśnie w Chorwacji i odwiedzaliśmy Muzeum Zerwanych Relacji. Byliśmy w wielu miejscach. Jest możliwe, że wylądujemy w Helsinkach. Może nie 300 osób, ale połowa.
Welcome.
Yeah. And last but not least, Panie Michale, Panie Danielu. O. Powiedziałaś, że muzeum, że Twoim marzeniem jest, żeby muzeum było taką duchem miasta, albo potem, jak to ładnie powiedziałeś, takim lustrem, w którym się przegląda miasto. Więc 31 maja, 4 dni temu, 1500 takich luster zostało powieszonych w mieście. Tu jest na górze napisane, jest okay? Tu jest na górze napisane jestem Kraków. I'm Krakow, yes. I'm Krakow. How to say I'm Helsinki in Finnish?
Minä olen Helsinki.
Prawda? To proste.
I am Helsinki. Minä olen Helsinki. Yeah.
Państwo powtórzycie, czy nie? To proste. Proste. Krakowianie, zachęcamy krakowian do tego, żeby robili sobie zdjęcie w tym lustrze, bo takie zdjęcie z tym napisem prowokuje do pytania, na ile noszę to miasto w sobie. Jaką rolę odgrywam ja w tym mieście, a to miasto we mnie. Więc takie jedno lustro chcemy Ci ofiarować do bagażu podręcznego. And of course, you have to make photo to this mirror.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely, yes. Proszę. Yes. Panie Tomku, to razem proszę nam zrobić. No, that's okay. Z tej strony, tak, tak. Tiine, bardzo Ci dziękujemy. Ja Państwu bardzo serdecznie dziękuję. No. He's photomaster. Proszę Państwa, bardzo...